I'm Mint Salad, and I'm a real girl, and I saw Pinocchio, the 2022 live-action one. It is directed by Robert Zemeckis. Man, I saw this on Disney Plus, and I was like, I gotta go watch it. What could it be about? It's about Pinocchio, but does it stick to the source material? I'm not gonna base it on that. I'm gonna base it on the movie. I really want to see how the movie stands by itself as a movie. All right, if you haven't seen this, which you probably haven't, spoilers, lots of spoilers, all spoilers. So the movie starts. We follow some old guy. He's very sad about losing his son. Before you even get into that, let me tell you about Jiminy Cricket. He introduces the story about he's narrating, and then he breaks the fourth wall by narrating and also himself in the story, like a future version of him is like talking to the narration version of him. It's like, okay, this is a little confusing. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna narrate the entire time. I'm gonna narrate everything. Okay, cool. Standard stet. All right. And then he hops his way to a really warm place because it's very cold. And he basically encounters the old man who's really sad about his son dying. He has a bunch of clocks. He's a woodworker. He makes his wooden puppet. It's like, oh yeah, I wish I had my boy here, but this is the next best thing, pretty much. Then more fun stuff happens, such as a guy comes, knocks on the door, window, bang, bang, bang. I want to buy your clock. Well, those clocks are very precious to me. Don't you know? It's like, oh, let me sell a clock, and then let me buy a clock, and then basically the customer is like, all right, never mind, I don't want to buy anything from you. I don't want that. Oh man. Okay, first of all, I gotta applaud the cinematography in the opening shot. In the shot where you see the entire room, where that old guy is just like dancing about, and you also see him interacting with the CGI cat, which is good. Like and also the fish. He touches the fish, and the fish has like Disney eyes. I was like, okay, wow. This is a really good tech demo. It really shows off what Disney can accomplish. Like, technically, this is really good for that. Like, with all the lighting and such, and then the old guy goes to sleep. I'm gonna wish upon a star. I'm gonna say all the things out loud, and then when it comes to my wish, I'm not gonna say anything out loud, because or else it's not gonna come true. That's the logic. And then he wishes upon a star, goes to bed. The star becomes big, and then bam! A beam of light hits a picture of his son right next to him on the bed. He's not woken up at all. And then bam! That beam of light, like a mirror, redirects towards Pinocchio. Let me tell you how Pinocchio gets his name in this movie. He's made out of pine. He's a boy made out of pine. Pine-occhio. I don't know what the occhio means. It might be Italian, because this is an Italian man. Or this is assumed to be in Italy? It's hard to say. I'm only saying Italian because there's an Italian guy later on. And the accent's a little Italian. Okay, first of all, the accent comes in and out a lot. It's like, oh, this is One minute Italian guy, next minute it's Tom Hanks speaking regularly. But you know what? It's alright. Honestly, I like the visuals are okay. They're pretty good. So, you know, it's fun. But then, you got the beam of light, then a blue fairy appears. And then this is at the moment where I'm like, oh, they're gonna start singing. There's a lot of singing in this movie. Alright, I think the original was also a musical? I'm not sure. I don't remember that movie that much. But I do remember this movie, and I gotta say, after they do a whole song and dance about it, first of all, when Pinocchio becomes a real boy, he does the good old repeating what the other person is telling them. The Blue Fairy deems Jiminy Cricket as a conscience, and then she fixes the whole repeating thing and basically makes it so he's a real boy, but almost a real boy. He's just kind of an animated wooden figure. He's like, alright, cool. Blue Fairy goes away. Then he wakes up. The old man wakes up. Huh, I heard a noise. It's like, you didn't hear them talking? They were talking pretty loud and singing pretty loudly. But Pinocchio reveals himself to be an almost real boy. A wooden boy. And man, he's so, the old man's so happy. He's like, yeah! Yeah, let's go. I get to have a son again. And then there's a whole, let's say it like it's a montage of him like helping with the chores, just being around the house, being, you know, a little boy. And then he goes off to school. Oh, you wanna go to school, son? Pinocchio's like, yeah, I want to go to school. Yeah, sure. It's like, alright, you don't know what that is, but you want to be educated, so that's good on you. And so, Pinocchio is on his way to school. You got Jiminy Cricket is following him. You know, it's a fun, handy-dandy time. He's like, I want to go to school for my father to become a real boy. But then, something really atrocious happens. He's walking through, like, this town, and there's manure on the ground. And he's like, ooh, what is that? And he starts playing with it, or sniffing it, or something. And he also got, like, these fox guys, like, ooh, we're gonna steal that little boy. Pretty much. They're wearing, like, some real royal clothing. It's like, they have money. And so they're making a lot from trying to convince Pinocchio to become an actor and become super famous. And let me get back to the point where Pinocchio is playing with manure. He also has an apple in his hand because the dad gave him an apple, and he sets the apple on the ground next to the manure and starts playing with it, has no concept of E. coli whatsoever, just, total disregard for food safety. This makes me super enraged. I absolutely am like, no, Pinocchio! If Jiminy Cricket was here, he would tell you not to play with horse manure. But, he picks up the apple from the horse manure, just keeps on going. Fully intends on giving it to his teacher. Unsuspecting teacher, hopefully that teacher chucks the apple, because it is a gross, red, delicious apple. It is mealy. Complete mealy. It's probably disgusting. So anyway, Pinocchio is swindled into, I actually do want to be famous, which is like, okay, you don't really have a backbone, you're just being controlled like a puppet? Oh, wink! Get it? Because he's a puppy, he's being controlled by these, metaphysical strings. Basically, anyone who can just, like, convince him that this is the thing to do, he'll just do it. And so, you got the foxes. They're like, alright, come with us, come with us. Jiminy Cricket lands on the fox's hat. And probably, I saw this coming like about 30 seconds before it happened. You got the other guy. There's a fox and like another furry, and pulls out this really big mallet, hits the fox on the top of the head. Then Jiminy Cricket goes to his hat and he hits him on the top of that. It's like, okay, this is very slapstick. But also, there is a Chris Pine joke. So it's like, who is this movie for? It's like either for like 27-year-olds or 3-year-olds and not really anywhere in between. This isn't really like nostalgia, because who's nostalgic of 1940s cinema? Animation. No one now that I know of was alive and they saw Pinocchio, unless they're, shown Pinocchio. So it's like, I really don't understand who this remake was for. I bet this was really fun to make. It seemed like the actors were really having a lot of fun time with it. And they also made the animals are CGI, and they're very expressive. I mean, kudos to having expressive animals. I like that part. I like the expression of the animals. And they got a seagull. Super fun. Seagulls are friends in this, but it's just one seagull, so it's like, oh, are they near a sea or are they not? I don't know. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. What does matter is that Pinocchio is like, alright, let's go back on the right track. So, Jiminy Cricket basically walks him to the good old place of school. Jiminy Cricket gets jarred. Bam. It's because the fox is there. He goes inside. Pinocchio goes inside. And gets kicked out like 30 seconds later. It's not shown. I want to know how the interaction with the teacher went once he realized he's a wooden boy. I want to know that interaction, but we don't get to see any of that. Instead, we see him kicked out. It's like, you're weird, you're not allowed to be here. It's like, okay. But then the fox comes back. And they're like, yeah, you want to be famous. He's like, I actually do want to be famous. So which is it? You want to go to school or want to be famous? And he wants to be good to his dad, pretty much. But it's like, your dad is not telling you want to be, he wants you to be famous. He's telling you to go to school. You're listening to another guy. And you're letting him gaslight you into thinking that your dad wants you to be famous. Which is how he ends up on this wooden carriage thing. He meets, oh boy. I genuinely do not like how the movie just goes from like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened without showing the in-betweens. So it goes from like this school to now he's like performing in front of a bunch of people. This is where we first meet the human character who's also puppeteering another puppet. And Pinocchio befriends her. Then he's the guy that bought Pinocchio is basically like, okay, you can roam free on this wooden carriage after the show. But then he goes to the other room with the other puppeteer, and okay, this is absurd. Then the other puppeteer like puts on like a brief show. Then Spaghetti Noodle. I'm gonna call him Spaghetti Noodle because it's pretty ridiculous of a name. Spaghetti Noodle Man. He just takes Pinocchio and locks him up. And so it's like, oh, this is wow. So he wasn't kidnapped, and then when he roamed, he was put in a cage. This isn't... Okay. I felt a lot of myself screaming at the TV while I was watching this, but the other puppeteer goes on the roof and is like, hey, I can help you out. Pinocchio's like, how are we going to get the key? It's like, well, you can't do anything about getting the key, Pinocchio. You're locked in a cage. But then, a very famous friend, YouTuber Tony from Hack the Movies walks in. I mean, Spaghetti Man, sorry. Same person. He walks in, he's like, what's going on here? And then doesn't do anything to investigate. Basically, he's talking to Pinocchio. Like, ooh, you sweet summer child. And he looks up. Right, I found this very egregious. He looks up, and it's not even like showing the thing is open until he reaches up, and then shows him closing the door. It's like, okay, this brain, at this point, this is about, 30 minutes in. About 30 minutes into the movie. Pinocchio escapes only because they drive by the school again where Jiminy Cricket is there. And because they established that when Pinocchio was running to the school, he was kicking up like a bunch of rocks, it knocked the glass jar loose enough just so Jiminy Cricket can escape, get onto the carriage, and then there's a quick little lesson about lying, because Pinocchio is like lying, like, I don't want to be famous, and then his nose go longer, and Jiminy Cricket's like, wait, hold on, stop telling fibs, and he keeps telling fibs until he gets the key, and the last fib that he tells gets Jiminy Cricket to the key, but like, there's a nail there, but it goes through the nail. It would have split his nose. But anyway, he gets the key, and then he learns the lesson of not lying, and that's the only scene in the movie where his nose goes big. Like, what? One scene. Alright, and then, they escape, and they're back at where they didn't show how they escaped. They instead went straight to... Man, this movie is just... It's... I'm having difficulty recalling what happens next. All I remember is that he escapes and it like transitions to him running, then gets snatched up again. Meanwhile, you got his father is looking for him, and, you know, he's just all sad about it. But who cares about that? Let's check on what Pinocchio's doing. Gets snatched, and people were like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Pleasure Island, we're gonna have a lot of fun. He's like, I don't trust you, and halts the entire car. And basically, he gives them consent to take him after it's like, are you sure there's a whole Pleasure Island, you sure you don't want to come with us? They're like, I do want to come with you. So he's not even kidnapped. They go to Pleasure Island. They have fun stuff, such as rides, root beer that defy the gravity physics of law. But you know what? These shots are really cool. There's a lot of colorful stuff. It's fun. But there's also stuff such as the pool scene. Also, it's just complete destruction of the entire amusement park. You got free bricks just kind of laid there so children can destroy. There's a shop called Shoft and Lift. You can imagine what they do there. And then you get kids playing pool. There's one kid that was with Pinocchio the entire time. He's kind of a jerk, brat. I don't know what adjective to describe him as, but he turns into a donkey, and then this is where the donkey scene's at. This is about 30 minutes to the end. So this is an hour and a half movie, I'd say. Hour and 40 minutes, and it takes about an hour and 10 minutes for the donkey stuff to happen. And it turns into a wooden donkey. It's fun. You got like smoke monsters appearing, capturing donkeys. Jiminy Cricket is finding out about the underworld of the donkey stuff. But it's like all the freaky stuff is happening here. It was super happy, and now it's freaky. It's not even showing the scary stuff. Like, I want to see more of the donkeys, honestly. What they're using them for. How do they profit off of these donkeys? They don't even show that. Does it matter? No. What does matter is that Pinocchio is being chased, and they have to jump off a cliff, and then they have to swim. And I was like, oh, they're gonna get ate up. And then we cut to him at his father's house. Father has sold all his clocks, which were really important to him, by the way, if you didn't know that. Even though they make a really good mention to make sure that you do know that. And then they have to go back and find him swimming. Well, not swimming. He's boating to Pleasure Island. They catch him. There's a whole, like, dialogue scene, which is like, how will the old man hear him? Also, seems like Pinocchio is talking for a very long time, and I think he already would have just hit the boat, but they had to have it so Pinocchio almost reaches the boat when he gets ate, ka-chow, by the whale. The whale that has fins that look like wings and tentacles, and it's a big whale. It's quite astounding, but also they're inside the whale's stomach. They got a whole bunch of shipwreckage. It's like, oh yeah, I loved you. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gone there. He also has this remarkable ability to make fire out of really fast feet movement. Makes a fire. The whale creature does not like that, so spits him out. They get a head start. He has to go burr because the whale is going after them. And he almost gets caught by the whale, and then he goes even faster. And he gets out of the whale's mouth again, and he goes through this rock. And then I remember the whale goes face first into the rock. The camera goes all wonky. It's like, oh, this is very disorienting. And then we see the fake out of the father's almost dead. Pinocchio's like, I love you, father! I love you so much! And then the father is alive. And it's all heartwarming. Oh, yeah, heartwarming stuff. Pinocchio turns into a real boy as they go through the cave. Also, I should mention, Pinocchio revives his father with, like, a teardrop. It's like the same thing that happened in the first SpongeBob movie. So yeah, he turns into a real boy, and that's the end of the movie. I really compliment the CGI. There's some beautiful shots. This is clearly like a tech demo to me, because it's like, it's showing off interaction between characters, like CGI characters, and real world people. Like, you see, like, Tom Hanks's hand over, like, the cat petting it, and it's done really well. You can also see, like, the wood texture, and, like, wood is wet. What does wet wood look like? Can we recreate it digitally? Yes, you can. And they did a really good job. They also did, like, fire stuff, too. All to show off what they can do. And honestly, from that, like, perspective, I think they did a really good job. I just don't like the writing or how the scenes are set up. I really don't like that. And the worst part of it all was the manure touching. The story structure of this, and then this, and then this, and then this, versus like having it like a journey that you're following the character in is what makes it less than good in my book. And the manure touching definitely didn't help. I keep bringing it up because it sucks. I cannot get over the fact that he put the apple next to the manure and knows nothing about E. coli. Nothing! There's so many diseases that the apple now has that he intended to give someone. So, I gotta give this movie a 2.5 out of 10. If you like that content and more content on patreon.com/ASEpresents for $3 a month, you get some ASE daily content. $5 a month, you get some salad dressing. You want to know what that is? Well, I try on clothes and costumes and stuff and review them. It's pretty neat. And then $20 a month, you get to request a movie review. 1 month equals 1 review. So go check out patreon.com/ASEpresents. If you want to check out more 18 plus adult content, where this is pretty much the only place where you can have direct contact with me, check out this link tree. I answer all fan DMs too, but there's also fun stuff, and a big bonus, I have a better ass than these asses in the movie. So go check out this link tree on the screen. You can't click it, but you can go check in the description. Until next time, I'm in Salad Saw. I'll see y'all later on my salad, croutons, and bacon bits.